Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video from snowy Chicago. This week's Torah portion is Vaeira, and it contains the first 7 of the 10 plagues. You know, the Baal Shem Tov taught that we should learn a lesson from everything in life. Certainly, every event, every story, every passage in the Torah has to teach us something personally for our lives. And so, I want to share with you a little insight into the second of the plagues, and that is of the frogs. The frogs, when it comes to Passover, the kids love the frogs. In fact, at our Seder, we have these little plastic frogs that the kids put out, and you push them and they jump, and it's all fun and all that. But I suspect that the frogs in Egypt were not that fun. You see, the Torah describes that they got everywhere. They were in the houses, in their beds, even in the oven. Well, why tell us this little detail of the frogs jumping into the oven? Well, the Rebbe gives a little insight into this. It says frogs are cold-blooded, an oven is hot. So you've got the cold going into the hot. So two things could happen. Number one, it could warm up the frogs, or it could cool down the oven. Contrasting with the blood, which is hot, that went into the cold water. Now you have the cold frogs going into the hot oven. And he says there are some things in life that we're a little too heated up about. We need to cool down, whether it's materialism, whether it's politics, I don't know, whatever it is. And we all have things in life that we get a little too passionate about. We need to cool down a little. We need to calm. There are some things we need to warm up about, and maybe that's the blood going into the water. But we're focusing on the frogs today. But I want to share a beautiful midrash. I love this. It's one of my favorite. And it fast forwards, I don't know how many hundreds of years, to the time of the exile in Babylon. So Nebuchadnezzar destroys the first temple. He exiles all the young folk, including 3 people named Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They even have Babylonian names, Midrach Shedach and Abednego. I can't remember, I'm saying it by memory. And he wants to force them to eat non-kosher food. This is all in the book of Daniel, by the way. And they refuse. And he threatens to throw them into the hot furnace. And eventually they refuse, and he throws them into the furnace. And the rabbis say, you know where Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah got their inspiration? You guessed it, from the frogs. They made a simple calculation. The frogs don't have the commandments, but they obeyed and went into a hot oven, which was probably going to kill them. I assume it did. We who have been commanded shall surely jump into the oven. Miraculously, they were saved. Now, this idea of going beyond oneself, transcendence, is really the whole idea of the exodus from Egypt. On a personal level, the exodus from Egypt means to go out of our self and our self-perception, to emancipate ourselves from the limitations of life, the limitations that we self-impose, and to really break free. So that's the inspiration from the frogs. But this idea of learning from everything is connected to a beautiful teaching of R Zusha of Anipoli. Zusha of Anipoli lived, I don't know, about 250 years ago or less, and he was one of the students of the Maggid of Mezrich, one of the early Hasidic masters, and he was known for his pithy teachings, his insights into life. He was known to have said that when he dies, they're not going to ask me, why wasn't I like Abraham or Moses? They're going to ask me, why wasn't I like Zusha? Why didn't I live up to my potential? The reason I mention Zusha is because today is actually his yahrzeit. Today is the day he passed away all those years ago. The second day of the month of Shvat. But he was known to learn from everything in life. Everything has to be a teaching. I want to share that he taught. There are 6 lessons you could learn from a thief. Of course, no one should ever be a thief. But that doesn't mean we can't learn from a thief. So he said there are 6 teachings, 6 lessons in life that you could learn if you examine how a thief operates. Number one, the thief operates modestly. He doesn't want to make a scene. Below the radar. Number two, he's so devoted to his job, he's willing to put himself in danger. Number three, he pays attention to detail. The smallest details are important. Number four, the thief works very, very hard. He's persistent. Number five, he works quickly, with alacrity, hastily, doesn't sit around. And number six, he trusts and hopes that he'll be successful. So obviously these are lessons for our lives. So that was R Zusha. It's his yahrzeit today. May his memory be a blessing. We've got another minute or so on this. I'll just share a beautiful story of R Zusha, which is inspiring to me too. R Zusha and his brother, Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk, two great masters of Kabbalah, were once traveling, and they got caught in the middle of a police chase, and they were arrested on false identity. The wrong guys, and they drag them off to jail, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at us, we got caught up in this wrong place, wrong time. And they're in this cell with a bunch of ruffians, and it's time to pray. The problem is that there's a chamber pot in the room, and you're not allowed to pray when there's a foul odor in the space. And Elimelech was very upset about this. He was really down. Can't pray, not allowed to pray. What is he going to do? He's never missed the daily prayers. And Zusha was not so upset. In fact, he was quite joyful. And he turned to his brother and said, listen, when else did you get the chance to observe the halacha, the law, that you're not allowed to pray when there's a chamber pot? He says, you're right. I am delighted. I finally get to observe this law. And they made each other so excited that he started dancing. The guard walked in. He says, what's the dancing all about? So someone said, they're dancing because of this chamber pot. So the guard said, if that's the case, I'm taking it out of the room. And they got to pray. So that's the story of R Zusha. Today is his yahrzeit. His memory be a blessing and inspire us. And with that, I'll wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a good Shabbos.